Okay, we're on Daf Samach Vavam and Base 66b1, and we're starting with a new Mishnah. So let's take a look. Remember we're in Perek Arba. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. Let's do it again. We're on Samach Vavam and Bet. We're on 66b1 in the Art Scroll, and we are in the middle of Perek Arba taught the seventh Perek in Sanhedrin. This Perek has primarily been about the sins that a person would be hayav skila for, hayav stoning. And we had a Mishnah that listed a whole host of sins that lead you to a person possibly getting stoned. And one of them on the list was Habo al Na'ara Ha'me'orasa. If a person had relations with a Na'ara that was Me'orasa. So first we have to give definitions to Na'ara. So Na'ara, you can look at the notes in note 2 in the Art Scroll. It defines a Na'ara. A Na'ara is a girl who is between 12 and 12 and a half and has sprouted 2 pubic hairs. She is considered a Na'ara. After 12 and a half, she becomes what's known as a Bogeret. This is already 12 and a half and above. Prior to 12, she's a Kitana. So you have Kitana, you have Na'ara, and then you have Bogeret. So it has to be, seemingly, she has to be a Na'ara. She has to be between 12 and 12 and a half. She has to be a Me'orasa. Me'orasa is that she is betrothed. And what that means in the days of old, they would do erusin, which we can call an engagement, but it's a halachic engagement, not just like today's engagement when you just give a ring or whatever it is, and you consider it engaged. No, it's a halachic force to the erusin. And we do today Erison and Chuppah, Kedusha, Erison and Kedusha, we do both of them together right under the Chuppah. But it used to be they did Erison a year before and Chuppah a year later. And so she has to be at that state in that year of being an Arusa. So Haba'al Nar HaMa'arsa in Chayev, you're not going to be Chayev Skila. Person who is having forbidden relations with his Nar HaMa'arsa is not going to be Chayev Skila until the case is Na'ara, she's 12 and 12 and a half. Psula, she's a virgin. She never had relations with anyone else. Ma'orasa, she is in the state of Erusin and not Kedushin. And that she is in her father's house, meaning she has not yet been given over to her husband's house to be his full wife. But that's the qualification. So this case, when Torah talks about an Na'ara Ma'orasa, that if a person was sleeping with her would get skila, it has to be that she's between 12 and 12 and a half, according to the opinion that we have right now in the Mishnah, 12 and 12 and a half. She has to have been a psula, never had relations with anyone else, and she has to have been in the state of erusin.
And we're talking about forced, right?
Talking about not forced. We're talking about she also gets skila if she participated in it. Sure.
Willingly.
If she did it willingly, she gets skila. If he did it only, then he would get skila only. If he forced, then he would get skila only. If she was willingly also, they both get skila. Right. Okay, here's the Bo Aleya Shanayim. Okay, if 2 men were with her, okay, so 2 men had relations with her. Harishon b'skila, v'hasheni b'chenek. Simply understanding this part of the Mishnah is she's a betula, so since she's a virgin, so the first time someone had relations with her, that person had relations when she was between 12 and 12 and a half, and she was a virgin, and she was engaged, so he gets skila. The second person who comes right after the first one, he is already with a non-virgin, therefore his death is with chenek, strangulation, and not with the more severe of skila. Now that would be the case if they had normal relations with her. Kedarka. However, Rashi tells us the case here is not Kedarka. It's when they both have relations with her, Shalai Kedarka, anally. So it's not normal. And the Chiddush here is, according to Rabbi Yehuda, we're going to see Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, that even though she's still a Betula, because her hymen was still intact, because they never did it vaginally, So even so, we have a pasuk that says mishkevei isha, the layings of a woman. That means that even the unnatural way, shilai kedarka, is also considered laying with the woman, sleeping with the woman, and therefore she will be considered no longer a betula, even though she actually has her betula status because it's actually still there. But ever since she was with someone, even shilai kedarka, the second person who comes and has relations with her also unnaturally would only get chenik according to Yehuda. We're going to see the Chachamim argue on this point. The halachas like the Chachamim and not like this Mishnah. But let's take a look now at the Gemara. Tanu Rabbanon, Na'ara, they taught a Braita that expounds on this Mishnah. Na'ara, 12, Velo Bogeret, and not 12 and a half. 12 and a half, already she's considered more of an adult. She already has more than 2 pubic hairs. So when the Mishnah is talking about 12 and 12 and a half, not past 12 and a half. Betula has to be someone who's a betula. Velo Be'ola, and not someone that a man already had relations with. Ma'orasa has to be someone that is betrothed, is engaged. V'lo nisua, and not married. Bevet avia, it has to be in her father's house. Pirat, it comes to include l'shemasar ha'av l'shluchei ha'ba'al. And this excludes the case where the father gives her over to her husband's agents who came to pick her up to bring her for the wedding. Once she's already in her husband's domain, meaning that she's already in the husband's agent's in their responsibility. So then if she has relationship at that time with somebody she's not allowed to be, she then would no longer get skila, because it has to be bevet avia and not when he's already given it lamasa, he's already handed it over to the agents of her future husband. Okay, haba. Okay, now Gemara wants to identify who is the author of this Mishnah. Okay, who is the author of this Mishnah? Amar Yehuda Amar Rab, Zu Divrei Rabbi Meir. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. This Mishnah that says it's only a girl who's 12 and between 12 and 12 and a half, and is a betula and is betrothed, and she's the one that if someone's with, they can get skila. This is what Rabbi Meir said. Aval Chachamim Omrim Na'araha Me'orasa Afilu Kitana B'Mashba. The Chachamim held no, it doesn't have to be between 12 and 12 and a half. Even if she's younger than 12, she's a minor. Even though she's a minor, she can still, and someone is with her, he can still get skila. Right? Now, it doesn't mean 12 and 12 and a half. It means anyone who's under 12 and a half. Why would we want to learn the Mishnah to Rabbi Meir? And say that the Mishnah, when it says Na'ara, it means to exclude a Bogeret, someone 12 and a half, and someone under 12, and it's only this very finite time between 12 and 12 and a half, and this happens, then they get skila. Maybe the Mishnah is Rabbanon. And when it says Na'ara in the Mishnah, Ulamute Bogeret V'tulo, it's coming to exclude anyone above 12 and a half. That's who it's coming to exclude. And it's not coming to exclude under 12. Why can't we learn the Mishnah that says Na'ara, that it doesn't mean just 12 and 12 and a half. It means Na'ara, anyone who's not a Bulgarit, anyone who's not 12 and a half. So Omar Lei, Ravina said to Rav Acha, Hi, Eno Hayav, Ad Shtiyeh Na'ara Betula Me'orasa. Read the Mishnah. The Mishnah says they're not Chayiv, Skila Ad Shtiyeh Na'ara, until she becomes a Na'ara. If you were saying that even if it's less than 12, it should say Eno Hayav Ela Al Na'ara. You're not Chayav Skila only on a Na'ara. But it doesn't say only on a Na'ara. It says Ad Shtiyeh Na'ara, until she becomes a Na'ara. Right? Eno Chayav Ela Na'ara Betula Me'orasa Me'bayeleh. Therefore, there's no argument over here. This Mishnah is not like the Chachamim. The Mishnah is like Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says there's a very finite moment that you can get Chayav Skila, and this is for the Na'ara Betula Me'orasa, only between 12 and 12 and a half. According to Chachamim, no, anyone under 12, anyone under 12 and a half that is engaged and is a betulah, she has a relationship with someone else, they would get skila. Okay. Now that we saw that the Mishnah is like Rabbi Meir, the question now is, Rabbi Meir, you're telling me that only between 12 and 12 and a half you get skila. Right? Now, if she's already 12 and a half and more, we'll get it. We'll know they'll get henik, right? They'll get the regular strangulation, the regular punishment for adultery, which is strangulation. The question now is, what about if she's 12? Right? She's less than 12. She's 11, 11 and a half, whatever it is. Okay? And she's an ara, ma'orasa, betula. According to our mayor said, no, the Mishnah means only between 12 and 12 and a half. So what does he hold for under 12? That's the Gemara's question. What would Rabbi Meir hold if a man had relationships with a girl who is a virgin, who is betrothed, and who is less than 12? What would be the halacha? When he says that the Mishnah says between 12 and 12 and a half, and it's excluding anyone who's less than 12, legamri might lay, is it saying completely that the person is exempt and he doesn't get any death penalty at all? Or what does he say between 12 and younger than 12, they don't get stoning? Does that mean that they just don't get stoned, but they might get chenik, might get strangulation? So Amrle say mistabra miskila might lay. When he said, when Rameir says that under 12 they don't get a punishment, he means the punishment of skila. They would still stoning. He'll still get the punishment of chenik. Now the Gemara says, but can that really be true? But we have a passing. Umetu gam shenehen. It says both of them should die. Right? This is two people who are consenting to a forbidden relationship, and the man and the woman have a forbidden relationship. You kill them both. It says umetu gam shenehen. But the Gemara is learning ad shiyu shenehen shavin, until both of them are equal, meaning both of them need to get punished. Then you can punish them. But a minor can't get executed. So therefore, you shouldn't kill him. You shouldn't kill him because the pasuk says, only when you kill both, you kill both. But if you're only going to kill one, then you can't kill either. That's what the pasuk seemingly is saying. And Rav kept quiet. Shatik Rav. Rav didn't say anything, as if he got bested. Omar Shmuel. Ma ta'ama Shatik Rav. Why did Rav keep quiet? He should say, we have another pasuk that says, when a man forces himself on a woman, the man who forced himself with a married woman, or not a son, anyone who's already in betrothed, he himself would die, and she doesn't, because she tried to cry out, nobody heard her, she was, forced, and therefore it's not her fault. Just the man dies. So you see, you could have a case where just one side dies. One side is killed. Now, before we move on, I want to bring out some commentary over here. First of all, why didn't Rav answer anything? Just Shatik Rav. Rav kept quiet. Why didn't he say like Shmuel said? Shmuel said a good answer. So why did Rav keep quiet? The Mefarshim say an interesting idea. Two answers. Rav may have thought, hey, this question is so not smart that I'm not going to even bother to give an answer. Right? This is a very insignificant question. It's stupid. Not even gonna answer. Not going to give it a satisfaction of an answer. Second answer is that Rav was like, good question, but listen, we have a Masorah, we have a tradition that the halacha is this way. Therefore, I'm going to keep quiet. Okay. For now, we'll stop here for a second. This is on our commentary. We'll back to the Gemara, and then we'll look over, once we finish the case, we'll look over the halacha on this topic. So let's go a little further. Okay, where are we? Okay. So now we're saying that we have two psukim. One pasuk says both of them have to die, right? You can't kill one without the other. And the other pasuk that says that you can kill one without the other. Kitanoi. The Gemara says actually machol kitanoim. Umetu gam shneim ad shiu shneim shavin. You can't kill either or if they're both unless they're both equal. Okay? David Rabbi Yoshaya. This is the words of Yoshaya. And Rabbi Yonatan Omer, he says, it says you can kill one. They don't have to be equal. So now, Rabbi Yonatan, he says you can kill either or, depending on who is the one responsible, right? V'idach hahi umetu gam shnehem madarish ba. So what does he use? The word, the pasuk that says gam shenehem, the both of them. It seemingly means you have to kill both, not one or the other. So Amar Rava says it comes to exclude cases of stimulation, which means that the man is having pleasure from what he's doing, but the woman is not. So it's not equal, right? In such a case, it's not equal in that sense that only the man will be. Then you can't kill either or, right? And the Ma'aseh Chidudim is act of stimulation, right? This is like where the man is rubbing or grinding himself on the female, and he's not actually penetrating her, so he didn't actually have any intercourse with her, but he had these Ma'aseh Chidudim, so he does not get killed for that. He gets makot. Rambam says he gets makot for this, and but it's not, and that's what it means. Gam shneim. Gam shneim has to be that they both have pleasure during the intercourse. That's what it means. Gam shneim. Interesting. The girsot. There are some different gersiot over here about what it means. Ma'aseh chidudim. Take a look at the art scroll, note 23, in the last paragraph over there. It says some have an alternative reading. Lema'ute ma'aseh hurdus, to exclude Herodian acts. Apparently, Herod would find female corpses and would have intercourse with female corpses, and such thing was called Maseh Hurdus. And again, only he having the pleasure; the woman is not; she's dead. And according to this, perhaps he wouldn't get skila according to this opinion. I don't know if that what the halacha ma'isa is. Someone who has forbidden relations with a corpse. I'm not sure. The Rambam doesn't. At least they didn't bring down that Rambam for me, so I don't know. But that's what the one girsa is, or what it means. Maaseh hurdus. Let's see if there's another opinion over here of what it means. Here he brings down from the Geonim, it's harurim, which refers to contact between the genitalia of the man and the buttocks of the woman. He's not penetrating her, but he's rubbing in between, and this way he also causes, similar to what we're saying, Maseh Hidudim, stimulation without penetration. Okay, so that's what it means, Gam Shenehem, according to Rabbi Yonatan. Idach, and according to Rabbi Yoshaya, Maseh Hidudim, Lav Kilumhi. He says, what are you talking about? Everybody knows just stimulating one person on the other, it's nothing at all. I don't need a pasuk to say that you don't have to kill them. No one would think you killed them. He didn't do anything. Right? It's a lav klumi. He didn't actually do anything that he should be killed. Okay, fine. Now, according to the other opinion of Yoshaya, who said you can't kill unless you're killing both, halivado, my darishpe. So what does it do with the pasuk that says livado? You can kill one of them. Hidatanya. Ba'u aleya asara b'nei adam, va'adayin hi betula, kulam b'skila. Bimeir omer, harishon b'skila, v'chulan b'chenek. And this is similar to the case we had at the beginning of the Mishnah that said what? Imagine there is a girl, an ara hamorasa betula. So she's between 12 and 12 and a half. Okay, she's between 12 and 12 and a half. She is a virgin. She is betrothed. And she now has 10 people having relations with her. So, according to the Chachamim, and they had what type of relationships with her? They had non-natural, so not normal. They had anal penetration to her. So, according to the Chachamim, kulam b'skila, all of them get the punishment of stoning because she was a betula, and it fits the definition of an ara morasa betula. She's 12 and 12 and a half, or anyone under 12 and a half, according to the Chachamim, right? And she is betrothed, and she's a betula because her betula is still there, her hymen's still intact. But Rebbe says the pasuk says livado, meaning he himself, the first guy gets skila And even though she's still a betulah technically because she has her betulot, still every other one gets chenik because you have the pasuk mishkeve isha that says that unnatural copulation, unnatural intercourse is also considered intercourse. Therefore, she loses her halachic status of betulot to a sense, and therefore all of them will get chenik, the 9 of them, and only he would get skila. Okay. Before we move on, let's review some of the halachos that came out of this Gemara. Some halachos that came out of this Gemara. Okay, we are looking in the Rambam over here, and the Rambam says as follows. We are on Daf Samachom. Okay, Haba al Na'ara me'orasa shnei b'skila. If a man comes onto a Na'ara me'orasa, she's already in the erison process. Shnei b'skila. They ain't chayv b'skila. Ad shti Na'ara betula me'orasa v'hi b'bet aviyah. She has to be in her father's dominion. But bat kohen she's into dina b'skila, and even if she's a bat kohen, she would also get skila. Haita bulgarit. Once she becomes a bulgarit, meaning she's already 12 and a half and above, or she already went to the chuba. Even though even she went to chuppah, but she wasn't yet with her husband actually physically. Even the father just gave her over to the agents of her husband who came to pick her up to bring her to her husband. And she had relations with them. And she had them relations on the way. She only gets strangulation because at this point she's no longer in her father's house. And if she is a kitana, right? So she is less than 12. And she's in her father's house. And a man had relations with her. So like the Chachamim, and not like our Mishnah Rabbi Meir, who b'skila, the man still gets skila, the he petura, and she is free. She doesn't get any punishment. In fact, the Rambam brings down as follows: Chol ha'arayot, all the sins of forbidden relationships. Kulin she'echad gadol echad katan. If there's one who's an adult and there's one who's a minor, katan potter v'agadol chayiv. We already saw this in the Gemara before. The katan will be potter, and the one who is of age will be chayiv. Another one, echad or echad yashain. One is awake and one is sleeping. The one who is sleeping is potter, and the one who is awake and doing the action is chayiv. So if someone is sleeping and someone comes over and does something to them, the one who's sleeping is completely potter. The one who did it, he's going to be chayiv. Echad meiz ve'echad shogeg. One did it on purpose, and one didn't know what was going on, thought it was permissible. Amazing chayiv. V'hashoigig may be carbon. The one who did it by accident brings the carbon. Echad anus, echad beratzon. Anus potter. Someone did it. They were an anus. It was against their will. They're potter, and the one who did it beratzon is chayiv. The Rambam makes it. Very clear. Bo alei asara, says the Rambam. If 10 men came to her, each one after the other, the first one gets skila, and all of them get chenik. How is this case? This is if they had natural intercourse with her, vaginal intercourse. But if they came onto her all non-natural, all anally, then all of them get skila, like the Chachamim paskin. Like the Chachamim said that as long as her betulot are still intact, then she's considered a betulah for this case. Okay. That was the Rambam, and that brings all the halachot of this Gemara that we just learned. All right, so we have a little bit more on this topic. So, Tanura Banan, Uvat Ish Kohen, Kitahel is not. We had a pasuk. We already saw this pasuk before. We already dealt with this whole idea of the Bat Ish Kohen, the daughter of a Kohen, who has forbidden relationships. She gets srefa, right? She gets molten lead to drink, and she dies that way. We had a machloket. Which stage is this? Is she 12, 12 and a half? Is she married? Is she erison? We had a lot of machloket. But here the Gemara wants to pick this up because the pasuk that we quoted, Umeta ish asher shachav yimal levado, is brought up in this context. So, Tanur Banan, Uvat ish kohen tinahel is not. Be Omer, Tehila. Techel means that she begins, that she is having forbidden relationship. Her first relationship is forbidden. V'cheinu Omer. That's why it says Umeta isha sheshachav ima levado, and dies the man who laid with her, he himself. My ka'amar. What does Rabbi mean? What does this pasuk connect here? Sa'amar Huna Bereda v'Hoshua. Rabbi Ishmael spirale. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi holds like Rabbi Ishmael that which bat kohen gets strefa, which daughter of the kohen gets killed with strefa, arusa yetsa ale strefa. It's only if she has been betrothed, she is engaged, and she's not fully married, and she is a betula, and she's been ara. V'hachika amar im tchilat bi'a biznut. If her first intercourse is znut, is adulterous, b'srefa, she gets srefa. Idach behenik. But if it's not her first intercourse, then it's going to be behenik. My v'chen. What does he bring in the pasuk? Kihatam. Ma hatam mechila bi'ah kamash tekera. That pasuk that talks about he dies himself. That's talking about where he is with the na'arah or asa. He's with the engaged, betrothed girl who's between 12 and 12 and a half, right? And he's with her and he's forceful with her. That's what the pasuk is talking about. So that pasuk is talking about the first time she's having intercourse. Achinami b'tchilat biyah k'mashta'e kera. Our pasuk is also about the srefa by the Kohen's daughter, is also when it's her first time having intercourse with a man. Then if she is with a forbidden relationship, then she will be getting the punishment of srefa. That's what the pasuk is doing there. However, Amaleta Bibi Bar Abaye, Mar lo hachi amar. Master did not say this. Umanun, who is this master? Rabbi Yosef is Rabbi Yosef. Why? What did he learn? He said that B is not like Rabbi Ishmael, that it is the Arusa, it is the betrothed Kohen's daughter that can get the punishment of Srefa. Rather, Rameir said, achal min psulin miteta behenik. V'hachi kamar, in tchilat achalata biznut, b'serefa, ve'edach behenik. He explains, you know what techel there means? Techel means to be already chilul. That what? If the bat kohen married somebody who is forbidden to her, and then she has relationships with another person, she does not get srefa. According to Meir, only the married one gets srefa. But if she married someone who's forbidden to her, she already was mechal herself, already profane herself, and therefore she has nut with somebody, she doesn't get srefa, she gets chenik. But if she married a regular guy, right, and now she had a forbidden relationship with somebody, then she would get srefa. That's the way Rabbi Meir learned it. So Umay v'chen. So how does this pasuk of Kimet Ish Levado, how does that pasuk connect? So Gemara says it does not. Rather, it's Simana B'alma. It's just dealing with another punishment that applies with adultery, and it doesn't have anything really to do with this case. And that ends the situation over here for this Mishnah and the Gemara. We have one more Mishnah and Gemara for today. And this Mishnah is dealing with the case of the Mesit. This is a terrible fellow. The Mesit is the guy who instigates somebody else to do Avodah Zarah. He tries to make people do Avodah Zarah. We're going to see the Mishnah. Mishnah is going to tell us that in all other cases in the Torah, if someone does a sin, we do not try to catch them. We don't try to entrap them. Set up witnesses to see them do the wrong thing and kill them. We don't do that. The one exception is Mesit. Somebody is instigating someone to do Avodah Zarah, you're supposed to set up witnesses to entrap them. So this way you can take them and kill them. So let's take a look at this Mishnah. HaMesit ze hedyot. The person who is doing the instigating, he has to be an ordinary fellow. Apparently not a Navi. That's what we want to say. HaMesit et hedyot, and he's instigating a regular fellow, individual, and not a whole group. Amar, what did he say? He says, Yesh yirah b'makom ploni. Somewhere there is a certain deity that has a lot of power, right? I love the lashon of the Mishnah. Yesh yirah b'makom ploni. Certain place. Always they give you far off place. If you go there, you'll find something, this and that. It's all nonsense, right? People always think that the grass is greener on the other side. And what does he say? He says, Kachochelet, Kach shoitom, Kach metivab, Kach meriah. He starts giving all the descriptions of how he eats, how he drinks, how he benefits. And if you don't serve him, he'll harm you. Mishnah says, Kol chayevei mitot shebetorah emachminim aleim. We do not arrange witnesses to lie in wait, to apprehend anyone committing a capital offense of the Torah, chutz mizu, except for this case. How does it work? If this man who is instigating people to serve Avodah Zarah says it to two people, hen edav, these two people are his witnesses. They bring him to Beit Din and they immediately stone him. That's it. It's a very fast process when it comes to mitzit. Amar le'echad, if he said it to one fellow. Now, what's the problem saying it to one fellow? In order to kill somebody, you always need to have two witnesses, right? One witness is not counted. You need to have two witnesses. So if he said it to one individual, what does this one individual do? For Omer, he should say to him, Yesh li haverim rotzim b'kach. I have friends who also might be interested. If this instigator is clever, he knows the halakha, if he talks in front of two people, he can be brought to Beit Din and killed. So what do? Machminin lo edim achorei hagader. They set up witnesses behind the mahitzah. Who omer lo, so he doesn't see them, but they see him. Who omer lo, and he says, v'hala omer lo, who omer lo, emor ma she'amarti b'yehud. The guy comes back and says, hello, tell me again what you said to me earlier in private. V'hala omer lo, and the guy says to him, who omer lo, and he replies. So he tells over to him what he said before. And this guy says to him, how can we leave God and go and serve wood and stone? How can we do that? If he goes back and says, okay, right? Then that's okay. Then you don't kill him. But if he says, this is what we have to do, this is our job, this is what's good for us, those two people standing behind the partition come and take him, bring him to Beit Din, and give him a couple of pointers on this part of the Mishnah. First of all, if he told one guy, why does he need to have two aidim behind the mechitza? Why can't he have just one aid behind the mechitza, and he himself is the other aid, and then they could go bring him to the Beit Din? Why he needs to get two more people behind the mechitza? So the Marshal in note 10 gives an interesting answer. He says because the Edom have to see it in a similar perspective. And if they're hiding behind the Mechitza and the guy in front of the Mechitza, they're having a different viewpoint. And therefore, they can't combine to be Edim. Therefore, you need two Edim behind the Mechitza who can have the same view, same viewpoint, the same perspective of what happened in this case. Also interesting to point out, the Mishnah says that it's only in a case where a guy told one and he comes back with the witnesses and the guy says, tell me what you said. And he says it over. And then he says, well, how can we forsake God? Right? He asks this question. And the first part of the Mishnah where he says, if he spoke directly to two people, we don't ask him, how can we forsake God? We just bring him to Beit Din and we give him skila. Why in this case where he has to repeat it? We, in front of two witnesses, we ask him, how can we forsake God? So they explain in note 12 over here on the article page that it's perhaps when you ask him to repeat it, he's just repeating what he said earlier, which was with one aid, but maybe he doesn't really mean it anymore, right? So therefore, you have to ask him because you are prompting him to say it. That's what it's saying. You are prompting him to say it by asking him to repeat it. But he has to actually say it on his own. So therefore, you ask him a question: how can we forsake God? And see what he answered. Based on his answer, now you know if you bring him to Beit Din to get skila, or not. That is the essence of that part of the Mishnah. Now, the Mishnah ends off. What is some of the things that the guy can say that is considered mesit, is considered that he is trying to instigate people to serve a desire. However, he says, "Evod, I will serve. Elich ve'evod, I will go and serve. Nelich ve'na'avod, we will go and serve the avodah zarah. Azabeach, I will go and bring a carbon. Elich ve'azabeach, I will go and bring the carbon. I'll bring the carbon. I'll go and bring the carbon. Nelich ve'azabeach, let's go and bring the carbon. Akter, I'll bring up a burnt offering. Elich ve'akter, I'll go and bring up a burnt offering. Nelich ve'akter, we will go up and bring in the burnt offering. Anaseach, I'll bring a libations. I'll go and pour the wine. We'll go and pour the wine. I'll bow down. I'll go and bow down. And I will go. We will go and bow down. All of these cases are cases considered of mesit. Okay, just a couple of pointers on this part of the Mishnah. First of all, why does they keep telling us all these lashonas, all these languages? I'll serve, I will go and serve, we will go and serve. So perhaps evod, means I will serve is one level. I'll go and serve, perhaps he says that, but before he goes there, he'll change his mind. We'll say, no, that doesn't happen. It's not dependent on him only, it's dependent on others, his statement. Still, that's still considered mesit. Now, what is the instigation? If the guy says, I will serve, evod, he's not saying you come with me. So the Mepharshim want to say that that's what he does say. He says, I will serve and you should also do. I will go and serve, you should also do. Right? So he is instigating as well. That's what some of the Mepharshim want to add on over there. We'll take a look at the Rambam in a moment. For now, let's finish up this Gemara that comes with this Mishnah. Okay. So we started off the Mishnah by saying, Hamesit, the one who instigates, Zehedyot. He is an ordinary fellow. What does that mean? Ta'amad Hedyot. The reason why he gets skila is because he's a regular fellow. Hanavi, but if he was a prophet and he told people to serve a Zara, Behenit, then he gets strangulation. Behemesit, it's a Hedyot, and it says, who did he instigate? He instigated a regular guy. Ta'amad Yachid, because he instigated an individual. Harabim Behenit. If he would have done a whole group, he would have got Chenik. Matnit and Mani, who's the opinion of this Mishnah? Rabbi Shimon, it's Rabbi Shimon, the Tanya. We have a Braita that says, the Tanakama says, Navi Shehediach Biskila, a Navi who convinces people to serve the Zara gets skila. That's the Tanakama. Rabbi Shimon Omer Behenik. Rabbi Shimon Omer says no, he gets strangulation, right? If he's an Navi, and that's what our Mishnah is implying. If he makes a whole city serve the Zara, he gets skila. That's a Tanakama. Rabbi Shimon Omer Behenik. Shimon Omer said the strangulation. So our Mishnah that says Hedyot seems to be in alignment with Rabbi Shimon. The Gemara says that cannot be a Masefa. Look towards the next Mishnah, right? Really, this Mishnah that's split up into two Mishnayot is one Mishnah. A lot of times the Gemara will split up a Mishnah into smaller segments in order to explain stuff in between. But it's actually one long Mishnah. And when we have one long Mishnah, we rather have one rabbi teaching the Mishnah. We don't want to have, this part of the Mishnah is that rabbi's opinion. That part of the Mishnah is another rabbi. We don't want to do that. We want to set it up the same. The Gemara says, Ema Sefer, look at the next Mishnah. It says, Hamadiach, a person who makes a whole ir hanidachat, everybody serve with the zara, it says he gets skila. So how could you say it says here, hedyot means one person, and if you do more than one person, you get chenik. The next Mishnah, which is really the same Mishnah, says if you make a whole rabbim, ir hanidachat, you still get skila. Say, Amir Nel Vanavol Kachavim. Amir Hud Amarav, Madiche hanidachat shanu. Talking about hanidachat. Atan al-Rabbanan. This is the opinion of the rabbis, who says the whole town. If you get a whole town, you still get skila. So Resha Rabbi Shimon, Sefer Rabbanan. Are you saying the first part of the Mishnah is Rabbi Shimon, and the last part is the Rabbanan. Ravina says no. Kula Rabbanan he. The whole Mishnah is the rabbis. Zu ketani. The way we learn the Mishnah is not this, but also that. Not only a hedyot gets skila, even if he's a navi, he gets skila. Not only if you get one person to do Avodah Zarah, you get skila. Even if you get many people to do Avodah Zarah, you get skila. When the Mishnah teaches that he's a hedyot, why is this? What is using this word for? Lehachmana. For what? To entrap them. Meaning, you don't say he's a navi, let's not try to get him in trouble. Or if he's an authoritative person, we'll try not to entrap him. No. For this, we consider him a hedyot, a commoner, a not smart person. A hedyot is a lashon of idiot. It means not a smart person. Also, it means a regular folk. Most people were not smart. Actually, you can still see that today. The majority of the world, not very smart. So they're considered hedyot. Shouldn't more people be what? I didn't understand the question. Don't put a chat. Shouldn't more people be Kal v'chomer? Oh, you're saying in Kal v'chomer that if one person you instigate, you get skila, wouldn't it be more people you definitely get skila? Yeah, I can hear you Kal v'chomer, but we're not learning it from a Kal v'chomer, we're learning it from Sukkim over here. And perhaps sometimes we have to also remember that the punishment has to meet the tikkun. And it might be that his punishment is so bad, his sin is so bad that even skila won't help him, even though it's the harshest punishment. Then we only kill him mulchenik. It's not necessarily that you can use a kal v'chomer over here. Okay, now what is the halacha l'maaseh? Let's look at the Rambam. What he says over here. Hamesit echad meYisrael. If you instigate one Jew, bein isha, whether it's a man or a woman, harei ze niskal, you get skilam. Even if he didn't serve with the zara, or the person he instigated didn't serve with the zara, but he showed him how to do it. Whether he's a hedyot or a navi. Whether he did it to one person or to different individuals, everybody gets skila. You don't have to give any warning to the person who is an instigator. And you set up witnesses to catch him. If two people come and he doesn't want to talk to them because he knows he's going to get killed, it's a mitzvah to entrap him. No other avera do you try to get them killed except for this one, because this is going against the whole thing of Judaism, against the belief in one God. How do you set him up? Put him in a dark place, and they can see him, but he can't see them. Tell me what you said to me privately. He says, how could we leave Hashem and go serve these other things? If he goes back on his word and says, you know what, you're right, or he says nothing, he's potter. You don't kill him. But if he says, wow, this is our job, this is good for us, those who were standing there, and they kill him. Okay, one last Rambam over here. Those two that he tried to instigate, they are the Adim. They say what he said, and they give him skila. Whether he says, I'm going to go serve, or we should go serve, all these, he gets skila. Ketzad, or with the chavero, evod zara. Go serve with the zara. I'll go and serve with the zara. Let us go and serve with the zara. All of these as a beach, elch v'ezabech, nelch v'nizbach, actor, elch v'actor, nelch v'nactor, anaseach, elch v'naseach, nelch v'naseach, yishtachave, elch v'shtachave, nelch v'shtachave, harei mesit v'niskal. All these are considered mesit. All these are considered that he is he is instigating, and all of these can get skila. So when he says vote, I will go serve, he brings over here in the bottom over here. Hainu evod ani va'ata acharai. He says, I'm going to go serve, and you do it after me. Okay, so that's the Kesef Mishnah. Kesef Mishnah says that he's saying, because otherwise he didn't instigate. He's just saying, I'm serving with a zara. He's not instigating. The Pri Chadash says, Shafil loy amr loy va'ata achar. Even if he didn't tell him, you after me. Harei mashmoz devarav she'evud acharav. Someone says, I'm serving with a zara. It means, look, I'm serving it. You should also do it, even though he's not saying those words. That's why he's telling him, I'm doing it because you should learn from me what to do, right? That's the Pri Chadash. Shimloi klal atzam loshin hasta umrloi lech va'avoid ein zo hastash kivin shamesit atzmo ein avoid ein haneset nimshach achra. He says the other way around, the Minchas Chinuch. When he says to him, you cannot just tell him, you go serve. That's not considered instigating. Because that guy never served by the Zara. Instigation has to be that either we are going to serve by the Zara, or I will go and you should follow me, whether you have to say those words or not, because the Mishnah and the Pri Chadash, right? But it has to be that that person is involved. One more point from the Minchas Chinuch over here is that he says, take a look at the Lashon of the Mishnah, it's serving by Avodah Zarah, or those four services of the Beit HaMikdash, the carbon, shechting, or bringing up a burnt carbon, or pouring the wine, or bowing down. Those are the four services in the Beit HaMikdash. Those are the only ones that he can say to be considered instigating. But if he instigates him to kiss the Avodah Zarah, to hug the Avodah Zarah, and that's not the practical service of that Avodah Zarah, then it's not considered mesit, and he would not get hayav mita. Okay, that is the Rambam on this. Okay, and then we'll look at the next Rambam next week already. That's already on the Dacha. Okay, let's finish up our Gemara. It talks about how we entrap someone. The Tanya. Ushar kol chayavei mitot shebetorah ain't machminin aleim. We don't entrap any other avera chutz mizu except for this. Ketzad osin lo. How will they do this? Madlikin lo etaner bebayit hapinimi. They would put a candle in the inner room, the room where this guy who is instigating will be standing in. Umoshel lo edim bebayit hachitzon. And they would put the edim in a outside room where it's dark. So they can see him because the candle is there in front of him, and they can hear him. But he cannot see them because they're sitting in the dark. And the guy says to him, tell me what you told me earlier in private about serving the Avodah Zarah. He repeats it. And now this guy has to answer again and say, because remember, he's causing him to say these words, so now he has to ask him a question, and he'll say something from his own will. How can we leave God and go serve this Avodah Zarah? If he goes back on his words, and the Rambam says, even if he just keeps quiet, okay, you don't kill him. But he says, this is our new job, this is good for us. Those are standing in the other room, those witnesses. Grab him, they bring him to Beit Din, and they give him skila. Okay, this is the Gemara for this week. Any question? Okay, so we'll end up over here. Just a reminder to everybody that tonight will be our inaugural shir on Hilchot Shabbat from the Tzur Merabbanan series. We'll be starting with the mitzvot aseh of mitzvot aseh of Shabbat. So looking forward to everybody joining. It's open to everyone. Open to men and women, and if the women are interested in learning halacha with some sort of depth and understanding, they're also more than welcome to come. We have it live, we have it on Zoom, many options, and we'll be recordings afterwards. Tzur Merabbanan series does a great job. So Be'ez Hashem, it should be about a 2-year program, and we'll all master at least some of the halachot, the majority of the halachot of Hilchot Shabbat, which is a big school out for all of Klal Yisrael. Yesh Shabbat. El Yishmereni. And Chafetz Chaim says if you don't learn Hilchos Shabbos, you're not reviewing Hilchos Shabbat, you're not keeping Shabbat. That's for sure. So, B'ezrat Hashem, we should all be zeichet to start it together.
Reb Moshe, did you send over the books?
I did send it. It got lost in transit, but they found it. They should have it there.
I should ask from Rabbi, what's his name, Abner?
Rabbi Avner. He will have the books, yeah.
Okay, did Malkiel get it from him? Do you know?
No, it wasn't there when he went because it got lost in transit that day, but I got it I got it relocated and I got it back there.
Oh, okay, I'll find out. Thank you.
You'll get it.
All right.
Shavua Tov. Thank you very much. God bless.
To the 8:30, right?
8:30 tonight, yes. Ephraim, you were saying something?
Yes. So you're starting the whole series from the beginning, or this is a new topic?
So we're starting Hilchot Shabbat, which is a new topic, starting volume 16 in Surah Rabbanan. It's starting
From
Hilchot
tonight.
Shabbat. Yeah.
And this is on the under Yehud Yosef, or this is?
We're going to learn not just Yalkut Yosef. We're going to learn from the Shorish and the Gemara, from the source of the Talmud, based on the Psukim, different sources of Chazal. We'll go through the Shulchan Aruch, we'll go through the Mishnah Berurah, and we'll end off with practical halacha based on Chacham Ovadia's Psak in Hilchot Shabbat. So you're going to come out with a full understanding of the halacha Be'ezrat Hashem.
According to Ephraim's questions, he doesn't know what the book stands for.
Say again?
Ephraim hasn't have the volume yet. He doesn't know.
He hasn't seen the book yet. Yeah. The book is an amazing sefer. It goes through the steps of how the halacha is established today. Yeah. So you're welcome to try it out. Join us, Be'ezrat Hashem, as we start on this endeavor of learning Hilchot Shabbat.
So it's every Sunday night at 8:30, correct?
Be'ezrat Hashem, more or less. Yeah, we have a WhatsApp group that will schedule if anything gets canceled, but it should be more or less every Sunday night. Baruch Hashem, we've been doing the Tzubah Mirabbanan series for over 2 years now, and we did it pretty much every Sunday night. Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Shavua Tov L'kulam. Exactly.